Welcome back to season 2 of the Like a Conspiracy Beyond the Basics. We've got a new season. This is going to be fantastic. We're really going to level it up in the next few episodes. So what is the Like a Conspiracy podcast? Hey, look, we're just two guys fighting our way through the challenge of staying fit and active as we get older. The podcast is a no-fluff, step-by-step series that turns fitness from try harder into your own personal operating system you can actually run. Instead of random tips, each episode stacks on from the last, so progress becomes automatic. So who is this for? You, cyclists, runners, gym goers, swimmers, crossfitters, anyone who wants steady, sustainable gains without burning out or getting lost in data. So let's get into episode 1. Now, if you've been wondering why your habits are failing you, you aren't alone. And in today's episode, we are going to try and help fix this. And to do this, we're going to go through 3 steps. First, we're going to find your identity, how the wrong identity can derail your habits. Number 2, we're then going to help upgrade the way you see yourself. Self-perception is the lens that controls every action that we take. And then number 3, we're going to look at how you can align your behavior with who you are or who you are becoming through results and proof stacking. You'll find that your identity underpins the success of your habits, and upgrading your self-perception can help change everything. And belief steers behavior more than motivation. Now, Andrew, am I right in saying that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fail to the level of your identity? Now, I'm here with Andrew. I'm just going to switch across to him because I should have done that a bit earlier. And hey, Andrew, how you going, buddy? Yeah, so you fail to the floor that supports you, that's beneath every choice you make. So I'm Nathan, and Andrew's here with me as well. Now, we're going to move past the surface level hacks into real mechanics of lasting change. Andrew, first things first though, we're back for season 2. We're going to try and step it up a little bit, but we're going to try and do this in a more relaxed and sort of go with the flow kind of way of doing it. I guess that's a better way of saying what I said before. First things first though, welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. How are you, buddy?
Oh, great. Thanks, Nathan. It's great to be back here for season 2. And hopefully we can help a few people out on their fitness journeys, whatever that might be. So, things have been going well. It's been nice to have a little break from season 1, just to sort of recharge a little bit and reset. I think that's always a good thing every now and again. And so pumped to be here tonight.
Yeah, awesome. Now, I've been thinking about this season is going to be really interesting and fun, but also I think a little bit difficult, because in looking at what we're going to talk about in this first episode, your identity. Now, I hadn't really thought about this before we got to this episode. And now that we've sort of been here in the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking about this in terms of how I see myself. And I've got to tell you, I didn't realize that I didn't sort of see myself in any particular way. I kind of get up, knew I had to do things, went and try and do those things. And then if I didn't do them, or I didn't achieve them, or I didn't meet the goals that I wanted to try and meet, or, to knock out, it didn't really make too much of an issue. Like, it wasn't a big issue for me. But now that I've started thinking about it, I'm actually thinking, what is my identity? When you, like Andrew, look, how do you see yourself in terms of, the cycling and trying to stay fit and motivated? Do you look at yourself through any kind of particular lens?
I think I just see myself as a pretty go easy type of person, but I think I also see myself as somebody that's motivated by challenge, and I think I'm both that in work and in sport.
Yep.
And so I'm even so if the challenge is there, and so quite often I don't consider myself a climber in terms of a cyclist, but for some reason I'm attracted to the climb portal, and I
Yes,
do
you are.
those tough climbs all the time.
Yep.
So I think I like those and like longer races and things like that. So I think I like something that really pushes me in that sense, like a challenge. And
Yep.
yeah, sometimes because of my easygoing nature, I might not necessarily be successful in that, but I'm sort of comfortable in the fact that I've had a good crack at it when I have had a go at that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, it's something that has got me thinking as well. Like, you know, am I a cyclist? Am I a guy that goes to the gym? You know, am I none of these things? And so for the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to, I guess, figure out, you know, exactly what I am. And, I think I came down to, I am these things. I am a cyclist. What kind of cyclist am I? I don't know, really. I mean, I guess if anything, I'm probably better at going hard on the flats than I am climbing. And oh my gosh, I was out on the weekend in the mountains, just outside of Melbourne, and I'll come back and tell you about that in a moment. But man, that was just atrocious. But then, you know, I'm also a gym goer now, you know, and like Sharon and I have been really stepping our game up in terms of what we're doing at the gym, how we're doing it, the levels of protein that we're eating now, you know, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And it's really sort of changed sort of how we look at things in terms of the food we're eating, you know, the alcohol that we're consuming or the alcohol we're not consuming, that type of thing. So I guess what I'm saying is that, I now see myself as someone who prioritizes fitness and a cyclist. So, but certainly yep.
I mean, I even pare that down further for you and think that it's more about having that healthy lifestyle that you've now sort of tried to really embrace with your fitness overall, your gym, your nutrition and everything else. And I've had a coach once before who really tried to get me to think about that one thing that is the underlying motivation for what you want to do.
Yeah, okay.
So it might not just be, because originally I sort of said, it's just to get fitter. And he went, well, that's not really strong enough. Like you really need a really strong belief in something, you know. Yeah. And I've read of, you know, people doing it for their kids or, you know, they've playing sport with their kids in the backyard and suddenly they, you know, they've run out of energy or whatever it is. And they have that epiphany about how, you know, overweight they may have come or how they have been a smoker or a drinker or overweight or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And now they really sort of, there's that realization that, hell, if I want to be around for my kids and my family into the future and long term, that I need to do something about my physical, appearance and health and physical health more so. And that becomes the real driver for that, not the motivation to be faster or ride longer or whatever else. It's that real core thing and that I think is what really, you know, for you in terms of your being that general fitness and healthy lifestyle that you're embracing is that core motivation for it. Everything else is just sort of segueing into that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right too. And the more I think about that, it certainly is one of our main drivers, and not necessarily just trying to be fit because it's a good thing to be. But I think the algorithms are feeding me information that, you know, maybe subconsciously I'm looking to see, which is I don't want to get into my 60s and 70s and be, you know, stuck in a chair and I can't move and people are going to help me and I need help getting off the couch and, you know, these things. I don't want that. You know, and I think that's a really primary goal for both Sharon and I as well. So we certainly have been looking at our, you know, what we need to eat, how the frequency, the kind of foods we're eating, but also the level of protein as well. And oh my gosh, so I've started this, and I've seen it a few times on Instagram. I hate referring back to Instagram, but I do. Creatine. Now, I've known about creatine for ages and ages and ages. Haven't really been doing a consistent job of taking it. Now, you're meant to be able to take 5 grams a day regularly to try to get the benefits of creatine. But I've seen people talking about like mega doses, super dosing. up to 20 grams a day. And so
I don't know whether that works or not. You'll have to be the guinea pig on that.
I've been doing it for the last week.
And
nothing. No.
Well, I've finished my course of.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah, how's it going?
Yeah. So I've now run out of the jar of
M&Ms. Yep, M&Ms,
or whatever it is, and so I've actually sort of, I think it was about the start of the week that I ran out. So I've been sort of waiting to see if there was this sudden, real drop off in energy and things like that. And so far, it hadn't been too bad. I felt a bit tired over the weekend.
Yeah.
But I don't know. See, now I don't know whether that's just because I was tired from a big week or whether it was tired because I'm not taking the pills anymore.
Yeah. Well, because you had a big ride as well, didn't you, on the weekend?
I have had a big ride on the weekend. I did Mirror in the Mountain thanks to Mike Brooks, who challenged me on that.
Oh, okay. How did that go?
I did all right. So the time limit that Zwift gave me was 2 hours.
Yep.
And put it through in about an hour and a half.
Okay, that's decent. What's the distance on that for those that don't know the route?
So the route, it's about 40 kilometres in length, roughly speaking, and about 900 around 900 metres of climbing.
Yeah, that's going to keep you honest, isn't it?
Oh, up that bloody radio station.
Oh, the radio tower.
Yep. So for the people that don't know that, there's an epic climb, which is not too bad, single-digit gradients for most of it. But long, but it's okay.
Yep.
And once you reach the top of that, there's they call it a bonus climb, and it's about 1 kilometre long, and average gradient is 12%. So it's basically double digits the whole way up.
It's nasty. That's the only word you can use to describe it.
It is nasty, but I guess one of my little goals as I was riding up there, I sort of set myself was to get up that.
Yep.
And I actually did that whole climb out of the saddle from where to go.
Okay. So what was your time for doing that?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but it was either my PR or a second best effort on that.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you really put some good effort in.
So, good effort, and my red segment, like my power, was consistent that whole way up on that particular climb. So
mate, that's awesome.
Pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Managed to hit 106 Ks on the way down.
Yeah, okay. That's good.
So got the triple figures there, yeah. And then did Titans Grove at the back end of that climb.
Mm-hmm. Which would have felt like just a bit of a bit of a bump in comparison.
It is a little bit of a bump in comparison, but so that was my Saturday ride, and then my Sunday ride I got out in the real world and went up Mount Lofty, which is about 700 metres in elevation here in SE2, South Australia. Yeah,
that's just outside of Adelaide. Yep,
it is, and the length of that I'm not quite sure, but it was about an hour and a bit, I guess, to get up, and quite a bit quicker to come back down.
Yeah, it always is, isn't it?
That's the nice part.
It takes forever to get back up, and it's like 5 minutes to go down. You're like, oh, that's just no good.
Yeah.
But I did the same thing. So I was saying earlier that Steve and I headed out to Dandenong because we've got, as you know, Andrew, we've got the Amy Gillett Grand Fondo coming up in October.
Yes, we do. Not far away.
Yeah, we are heading, it's getting close, isn't it? We're heading over to the south coastal area of Victoria in Australia here. And there is a ride it's about 121 kilometres if I'm being picky. And it's got about 1,800 metres of climbing. And it's a well-known, well-publicised, well-organised event that Andrew and I and my mate Steve are going to participate in. So a lot of this riding that we've been doing has been contributing to the training for that. And so we headed out to Dandenong like we do. That's our training ground for climbing. And I've got to say, it wasn't a good day in the saddle. Like, we did 1,500 metres, 70 kilometres of riding, and it just wasn't a great day. Like, I don't know. I was messing around with tyre pressure in my tyres. This is the excuse that I'm hanging on to. I lowered my tyre pressure on my tyres.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like I was riding through sand. Now,
I've had that once before where I've had like brakes where I had it was the old school, not disc brakes, your caliper brakes, and I don't know what I'd taken the wheel off and put the wheel back on,
yep.
and used to have like a little cam thing on the side of it, so it would open up when you wanted to take the wheel off. You'd open the cam, it would spread the calipers.
Gotcha.
Yep. And so when I put it all back in, tightened it up, but the calipers must have offset slightly. So one was rubbing against the wheel, but the other one was quite a way off.
Right. Okay. Yep.
Yep. And didn't pick up on that, and just felt like, all right, I figured how far I rode, a fair way, but it was just such a bloody struggle. Everything felt, oh God, this climb feels hard today. God, this, you just struggling at the whole wheels and everything else. And then finally we pulled up somewhere, and I thought, it's got to be something wrong. And I've checked my bike and then realised that the brakes were rubbing on the wheel, and that old chestnut.
And it starts playing with you, doesn't it? It's like, am I just not getting any better? And this is what I'm thinking, because I've been systematically for the week, I've been mega dosing on 20 grams of creatine. I've been trying to hit at least 150 grams of protein every day, and then my water, and trying to get my rest time, because I've got a Whoop. Steve gave me his old Whoop, and I know if you know what Whoop is. But for those who don't, it's basically a health monitoring device you wear on your wrist. It's not a smartwatch, but you can see it here. It's just a black band on my wrist there, just showing on the camera. But it monitors everything: your sleep patterns, your HRV, your heart rate, all these sorts of things, and it's just continually on all the time. And so now I've gotten super focused, hyper focused on sleep data and HRV and my strain throughout the day and my resting heart rate and all these things. And so I've been trying to prioritize sleep, because it tells me if I'm sleeping good or I'm sleeping bad, how much restorative sleep that I get each night. And so I'm trying to tick all these boxes. I get out today and I'm thinking, this is gonna be a good day. I'm gonna go riding and it's gonna be great fun. And it literally felt like I had like a dead horse tied to the back of my bike that I was dragging up a hill 4 times over and over and over. So I'm trusting the process. I'm hoping that it's gonna get better, and it just takes time for it to build up. So the saturation point, I don't think I'm there yet, and I need to keep on it.
Well, I'm sort of half hoping that you might feel like that at Amy's ride, because then I'll be able to hold on to your wheel.
That's the thing I love about Amy's ride. These organised group rides is because it's all about the group you get into. It's not like on Zwift where it's in a race, it's like smash, smash, smash. I like these rides because you're in a group and you're working together and you're having a chat and all these sorts of things. And so, I mean, there certainly is the race component to it, which is the UCI side of it, but I'm so not in that group at all. But so we've been working towards that. So we did 70 Ks, 1,500 meters of climbing. I'm just shy of my 200 Ks this week. I'm probably about 8 Ks short of it, and I was going to do a ride today, but I just went, no. I feel zonked. So I'm hoping it's a process, and then next week it's going to, all of a sudden there'll be a magical awakening and I'll be just the Hulk.
Well, I had a rest week last week. That was in terms of my plan. It was another extra break in there, and then the weekend rides were only sort of 2-hour length rides. So it was a bit of I didn't get my 200K for the week. It was a little bit underneath that, about 130 or something like that.
Yep, that's good though.
But because I did so well on the Mirror in the Mountain on Saturday, I managed to get my FTP up by 14 points or something like that.
Yes.
Now, the downside of that is all my workouts this week coming are all going to be harder, because obviously they got to be restructured around that new figure.
So they're all going to be bumped up about 5%, maybe 10%, something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Which is good.
I mean, that's right. Otherwise, you wouldn't improve. So, yes. So it's been very pleasing to know that the steps that I've been doing in each one of those little journeys each day and each step for the last few weeks is obviously working in the right direction, and things are on the improve. And following that process and sticking with it. So,
well, it's got to be working, man. You're ticking those boxes. You're getting better. Your FTP has a little bump up. You're doing these rides. You're doing the radio station tower ride. Out of the saddle, and man, these are all positive things. That's really good. That's really good stuff. Yeah. So when I was reading about this and going through this season, so this season's 8 episodes again, and I really want each of these episodes to stack on top of the last one. And so when I sort of sat back and looked at it, and we looked at the why identity, is important, and as I said, it hadn't been something I'd even thought about in all this time. I hadn't really thought, am I a cyclist? Am I a gym goer? This is who I am. So we're going to hit segment 1 here, which is why identity beats habits. Now, this first segment is fundamental. Most people think habits are the holy grail of transformation. I'm reading off a script here, by the way. You stack enough of them and you'll change. And this is the thing: habits are going to fail if they're not built on that deeper identity of who you are. Like, as you said before, what is it that what's driving you? So we're going to break down why so many habit building attempts fail, why the fitness industry loves that because it keeps you hooked on the surface level advice, and why the right identity might just be the missing link that leads to a sustained change. So that's what we're going to talk about in this first segment.
Now, that's right. You think about somebody who buys that fancy plan a calendar thing every year.
Yeah.
New year to do something. For the first few weeks, they're ticking off the workouts, they're logging the meals. But then when life starts to get hard, the planner starts to gather a bit of dust, and things just get put off. And because deep down they're still seeing themselves as somebody that can't stick with those routines. That old habit starts to come back through again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those things that they've got to try and break through.
Yeah. So, look, and that's the thing. We all know, that habit advice, and that's what sort of started us on our journey, which is, drink more water, train 5 times a week, and yet, I end up stopping. I end up, something else comes along that is, I've got to deal with life, whatever gets in the way. And then, it just fails. And even though you don't touch that real driver of the behavior, which is your identity. So when the excitement phase and the old story pulls you back, habits without identity always collapse. Now, there's a great comment here from James Clear from Atomic Habits. The brain defends consistency with how you see yourself. So if you don't see yourself as a cyclist, if you don't see yourself as a swimmer, if you don't see yourself even as, I guess what we're trying to do is like content creation, podcasting, motivational stuff. If you don't see yourself as that, then something else is going to come along easily and just derail it. And then you get back to square one and think, well, far out, man, that's hard. Now, when I did a bit of research on this and doing a bit deeper, I wanted to know what athletes, what I guess what you'd call really successful people out there, do they do this? And when I did some searching, there's a few of them that came up as great examples of this. So I want to touch on one of them, which is Kobe Bryant. Now, Kobe has been was a Lakers champion, and I've got the list of his stats here, which we'll go through in a second, but I didn't know this. He had developed a whole different, persona called the Black Mamba. Now, I'm not a big basketball fan. I know, Andrew, is basketball something you follow?
On and off, mate. I'm going to show my age here and say that Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird were all my go-tos back in the day.
Yep.
And I still rate Michael Jordan higher than LeBron James, so that'll kill.
Oh, okay.
Controversy. Yeah. I don't like the way he falls over the court.
Yep. So you're a bit of an old school kind of guy.
I am a bit of an old school kind of guy, but certainly have heard of the Black Mamba, and Yeah, he's a sensational player, or was a sensational
Yeah,
player,
it's
and as you say, the
unfortunate.
stats are just incredible.
Yeah. So just reading through here. So, and this is what I guess drove him to the success he achieved, which was he just didn't do the drills. He changed who was doing the drills, So apparently, after some earlier career turmoil, he deliberately crafted the Black Mamba, an alter ego, calm under pressure, hyper disciplined, ruthless about the details. Now, the identity gave him that filter for choices. And this is what I loved. I loved reading this little paragraph right here, which is, what would the Mamba do right now? Habits like 4 a.m. workouts, obsessive video replay study. He stopped being heroic one-off efforts and became just an expression of his identity. And it's that paragraph that I'm reading just then which has started to percolate in my mind and helping me with addressing, especially when you get home from a long day at work, or you've been working on the lawn, you're doing the gardening, you're outside fixing up whatever, and it's a long day. And then it's easy to go, well, it's been hard. I might skip the gym tonight and I won't do that bike ride tomorrow morning.
Yep.
But having that identity thing has now started to refocus me and going, well, actually, no, because if I want to be this person, that's what they do. And so the results were magic. They were consistent because the behavior finally matched the story he believed about himself. Now, we've got the stats here on the screen, Andrew, but I'm just going to read through some of them. 5 times NBA champion, 2 times NBA Finals MVP, NBA Most Valuable Player, 18 times NBA All-Star. I mean, you don't get there just because, of talent. You get there because you do those things. Yeah, man.
Hard work. I mean, that's right. That's the 4 a.m. efforts that he's getting up in the morning and everything else. And whilst he's doing those efforts and making that commitment to train and be better, and the other ones that don't have that identity and don't get out of bed, they're the ones that are not doing the effort, not putting in as much hard work. And with all those stats, and 2 times NBA scoring champions and stuff like that. I mean, that's where that comes from. It's just the work ethic that the guy put in.
Yeah, yeah. And the fact that, he had developed that whole persona just kind of blew me away and went, wow, okay, it's not just going, well, you've got to believe in yourself, man. He just took it to another level and just went, nope, that's it. Kobe Bryant, yep, that's one guy. But the Black Mamba, he does all these things. And it really got me thinking. So for the last week or so, I've been trying to, just focus on what it is that who I am, what my identity. And now, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say, I've locked that in completely. It's still, I'm still working through it in my mind. But at the same time, it's helped me to go, actually, I can, my identity is more important than I ever thought it was.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why people can smash a new gym routine for 4 weeks. It's that novelty and the motivation that gets them there earlier on. And they have all that, and they're getting sort of those short wins. So it's like, oh yeah, that's really
getting pumped.
Exciting. It's something new. It's something buzzy. But if they still believe that they're not a consistent person, those old habits will gradually creep in. They'll gradually make those excuses not to turn up.
Yeah.
Too cold to get out of bed, or the person that they normally go to. Or who they train with doesn't turn up, so they're not coming. I'm not going to go. It just starts to derail that whole process that they had.
And then you just, as we said before, you fail back to that whole persona of not your belief system, but what did James say? Yeah, he said it so well. Sorry, I'm just going to pause that for a second. There we go. James, so. No, you fail. What to edit this part out? Where was it? He said it. There we go. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fail to that level of your identity. And if you don't have an identity, then you just go back to square one.
Yeah. We talk about this at school to sort of segue onto this.
Yep.
And in the scenario, like if you've got young kids and you constantly tell them, "Oh, you're a naughty boy, you're a naughty boy, you're a naughty boy," and if that kid, or girl, it doesn't have to be a boy, but or you're always talking, you're always chatting, whatever it is, and you constantly just reinforce that all the time. After a while, some of these kids then start to think, oh, okay, well, why bother doing anything else? They immediately just think of me in this light. That's my identity. I might as well be that identity. And so you're actually then creating something that then is going to perpetuate further and further along.
Yeah.
So they just live up to what your expectations of that. And I reckon that's the same with people who say they can't run. You quite often you hear, oh, yeah, I can't run. I'm not a runner. And it's like, I'd love to know whether somebody back when those kids were young, when that person was, a kid at a sports day or something like that, and somebody's gone up to them going, oh, you can't run for peanuts, or they had a bad experience, and whether that's just embedded in their psyche and they've just carried that through.
Yep.
And so that's always their go-to then, oh, I can't run. And so then it becomes their identity that they're not a runner. They never give it a go. They won't pick it up.
Yeah, and if they do try it, they're going to fail at it, and so why bother?
Yeah.
So
I think there's that identity, and having that mental belief in you is incredibly strong.
Yeah. And I'm just now realizing that this is a big part of what I've not been doing. Yeah. So and so there's another one I was looking at, which is Serena Williams.
Yeah.
And, my iPad screen's gone. Hang on one second while I bring my iPad screen back. Maybe I can't. Come on, Mr. Here we go. Hang on. Hold on. No. Bugger. I had some great B-roll footage of Kobe and Serena, and OBS crashed, and this is what I'm left with. But so and reading like Serena Williams. Okay, so another great example. Post-pregnancy, Serena had to navigate a shifting body, a new schedule, and outside narratives about what mothers can't do. Now, this is interesting. She didn't chase random hacks. She widened her identity to mother and champion, which is phenomenal when you think about it. Now, that reframe mattered. It let her pursue elite training blocks while protecting recovery and family time without seeing those as competing roles, which is super impressive. Now, that practical ripple, smarter load management, selective tournament entries, and that's important, and an inner script. I am still the athlete who belongs at the very top, and that kept her habits tethered when the spotlight intensified. So again, another fantastic example of how, your identity doesn't have to be that black and white contrast. It can be, I get up in the morning, I go to the gym, or I get up in the morning and I go and do a swim, and I'm still a mum, or I'm still a dad, or I'm still a guy that goes to work. So it's not like these are competing ideas, but I love that idea that you can sort of merge those into one, and then it's the same thing. It's like, I'm still doing these things. I'm still turning up to the gym. I'm still turning up to do the bike ride. I'm still turning up to do the run, and then I go home and then I do, look after the kids, take them to school, make lunches.
I mean, how many times do you hear that in like society and social media and stuff like that, though? Whether they've had a baby and that's sporting side of their life is now past, and now they're into motherhood or whatever it is, and that's what they should be doing. Or their age is the barrier. Oh, they're too old now, they shouldn't be playing anymore, they should hang up their boots, they should retire. Or all those things, and everybody's got this opinion of it. But Serena there's just clarified that beautifully in terms of no, I can still be that elite athlete that I once was. Like nothing's changed. I'm still that person. I'm now another facet to my life, and I'll navigate my time and do my time so that I can, still be a mother, still be all those things for my kids, but also be the athlete and the person that I want to be in that space as well.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
don't have to be, as you say, one or the other. You work out how to balance that out.
Yeah. And that becomes, that identity that you're striving to achieve. I mean, that's again, and I know, like, I'll talk about Sharon. Sharon's got the same challenges as well, like, going through changing, body, not her body, especially not letting her do the things necessarily that she wants to do. But we're incorporating that now. So we understand that, resting is a priority. You can't always be go, go, go. And if you can't go, you kind of feel disappointed. It's no, you can go and you go to the gym 2 days a week or 3 days a week, but then you can have the rest, and the rest is just as important. Like you were saying earlier, having that rest week is just as important.
Oh, yeah. And it's amazing how taking that time just to let your body catch up or adjust to the loads that it's been under, you'll come back in that week after, following that rest week, and everything will feel a little bit easier. Like you've given your body time to adapt to those changes.
Yeah.
It works wonders. So.
No, you definitely can do that. So we've got, and we had this in last season. If you're still listening, thank you very much. Each episode, we've got a listener worksheet. Now, it's our way to try and give you something. It's free. You can choose to use it. You can choose not to use it. It's the link to the listener worksheet is in the description of either the podcast platform you're listening to this on or in YouTube. So what you can do is you can go find that, you can print it out, you can look it online, and you can pause and ask yourself, what's one label you've been carrying that limits you? And then write it down, because you can't rewrite a story if you don't admit to what you're telling yourself. And that's the thing. Like, one thing that I've had to keep telling myself is, just because I'm getting old, old, it's my birthday in about a week's time. Just because I'm getting old doesn't mean that's a reason that I can't do these things. This whole idea of being an old man, and I'm turning 52, but this whole idea of being an old man isn't, that's not something that I'm going to let limit. And I've seen some amazing things where, some people that are a lot older than I am doing way more than I'm doing, So
it's like that. What was he? 104. That guy that did the hour challenge on the bike the other day.
Yeah.
There you go. It's a classic example. Like, mate, you think you're hard done by at like 52, and so here's a guy that's like double your age, still pumping out hour records.
Yeah, that's incredible. 104.
Yeah, I think age is. That's just a mental thing.
Yeah.
It'd be incredible to actually ask him, to talk to him and find out his views on his mental take and his identity and those sorts of things, and how he believes in himself, how he keeps pushing that at that age. And
how does those
things. It'd be awesome.
How does he see himself? It'd be really interesting to find that out. Because I've got to say, you'd have to look at yourself as, eternally learning and driving and trying to achieve and be better. Because if you didn't, you would just, succumb to those horrible, nursing home images we see of people slumped over in chairs and on couches and, just sort of staring, slack-jawed out the window.
Yeah, drool running down in the mouth.
Like you at work.
Yeah, pretty much on a daily basis.
It's like me at work. So now don't let this episode just be the background noise. Jump into our Discord channel. It's where listeners turn ideas into action. Now, you can share your pushback for the week, connect with people chasing the same grit, and get the kind of support you won't find scrolling on Instagram. And trust me, I've tried. It's way harder to go to goal when everyone is watching. And that's a big thing. Like, even I was thinking of this today, actually, with this podcast that we're doing, I've kind of got to admit that I'm a little bit, I've got a secret to admit too. Half the reason for doing the podcast and sort of setting this all up was to try and keep me on track.
And is that working for you?
Yeah.
And I've done something similar too, because like I haven't done any live streaming of my rides for a long time, just because I'm just lazy. But my sort of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I did on Saturday, but most of my week ones, which are only about an hour, and I say only an hour, but when you're watching one person just cycle around doing their own thing, it's not very interesting. An hour's a long time.
And it's hard to talk too when you're doing that too.
It is, but I've been live streaming all of my workouts.
Yeah.
And I guess one is that it provides a hope for somebody else, if they wanted to do it, they could follow along. But B, it also then becomes a bit of an accountability thing too, that people then can actually see me doing what it is that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, like you see, as I'm riding along, sometimes I'll just be talking to myself. Oh, here we are, narrating the whole ride as we're going through different peaks and troughs and whatever else we're doing, and wattages and et cetera, et cetera. And you'll see the viewers will come in and they'll say, I can just imagine what's going through their head. They go, oh, shit, it's Andrew doing a workout. I'm not watching that. And then they bail out again. So they're there for about 30 seconds to realise what's going on, and they leave you. But it is like the fact that they've actually jumped into your stream just to have a look is the fact that somebody's there and they're having a look is the accountability part of it. So
that's it.
I just find it a bit of fun.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, the same thing. If you stream it, there's no choice. You can't kind of just give up halfway through. That was my intention of it all. And so if you're streaming a race or a ride, you can't really rage quit out of it. You got to see it through to the end, even if it's not the end that you want it to be. If you get dropped, like I did the Chop, which is a Zwift ride or race on Thursday just gone. And so I've been pushing myself to get into B. Now I'm a C grade rider, so the categories go D, C, B, and A. I'm a C grade rider, but I've been pushing myself to get into the B grade group just for the harder rides, just to push myself out of a comfort zone and just try and get better at it. And so my goal has been to try and hang on for 20 minutes. That's been my goal so far for the B grades. If I can hang on for 20 minutes, that's kind of one little goal I've made. And then it'll be try to hang on for 22 minutes and then try and hang on for 24 minutes, that type of thing. And I got dropped at 16 and a half minutes, but even still, I was like, okay, well, that's fair enough. But I got my highest 20-minute power that I have in, I think, this year, actually, which is just under 3.2 watts per kilo. Nice. So, I was really happy with that. So, even though the rest of it was kind of like, oh, well, there was no... Often when we feel like that we've failed at a task that we're trying to do, when you have a look at it, there's always something to go, actually, no, I did this thing really well. Like even when Sharon and I go to the gym and we have an average session, like a turn-up session, what we call them, even then, there's usually still one exercise or even one set of exercises that we've done that we go, actually, yeah, that was pretty good. I probably either did that really well or better than I thought I would. And you kind of go, well, okay, then I can put my hat on that and go, yeah, that's the reason why, you turn up and you keep going, because even though it feels a bit shit, you are getting better at things. They're not obvious, but you are getting better.
No, that's exactly right. It's the small things. So
like your FTP upgrade.
Yeah. It's like a proof thing. It's validation, I guess.
Yeah.
That what you are doing is working in the right way, and you're actually getting better for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yep.
Now we've got segment 2 coming up soon.
Let's get into it.
Upgrading your self-perception, Nathan. I think that's a really incredible and important part of that. So we've talked about, why we've laid out identity trumps habits, and now we need to get sort of practical about that. So we're going to talk about upgrading the way you see yourself, because self-perception and the lens that controls every action you take. So if we change that lens and how we see ourselves, then the actions that we do are naturally going to follow.
Yep.
So we're going to give you a framework to shift your old identity into a new one, and we'll walk through these exercises so you can actually do them while you listen. So an example of this might be and everybody would know this sort of person, this example. So, picture a smoker who wants to quit, and then when offered a cigarette, they say, no, thanks, I'm trying to quit. And everybody would have heard that. And that's a habit-based response. Now, if we compare that to, no, thanks, I don't smoke, then there's an identity that's tied to that.
Yeah.
And that second answer, that change in that way that's phrased, really closes the door, because it's no longer about the effort. It's about actually who they are.
Yeah.
That they now don't smoke, not that they are trying to quit. And there's a whole different psyche in that. An example. So, I think that's a really way, and everybody would have heard of that, that smoking example. I think that's, and, if they knew somebody in that space, even getting them and saying, hey, why don't you say, instead of saying that you're quitting, say, no, thanks, I don't smoke.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually start telling them to rephrase that. So there's a real world story that I'd like to sort of share with you, with a person called Suta Nadella, who's the CEO from Microsoft. And he changed the psyche at Microsoft from being like a know-it-all to a learn-it-all sort of psyche.
Yeah, this is
so
really
when
good.
he took the helm over in 2014 at Microsoft, that culture that had really sort of calcified about everything was being right. And so he tried to reframe the company's identity from being know-it-all to learn-it-all. And I think there's that wasn't just a slogan, it was a permission slip to ask better questions, to partner where the ego once blocked all those progresses, is to give them permission to be able to say, okay, we need to learn and move forward, rather than we just know all the answers. And so that new identity, we are a learning organization, showed up as concrete behaviors. There was the cloud first bets, there was cross-platform releases, and relentless postmortems about what their products and stuff like that. So that belief that they changed first, and then the habits followed those, and then they stuck.
Yeah.
So I think that old identity, the transition into that new identity, is the really incredible and an important part of that process.
Yep. Yeah, man, absolutely. Like when I was reading about Satya and just about Microsoft, because I had, even though I work in IT, and I use Microsoft every day, I hadn't really done a lot of reading about, their higher up management and the CEO and about that change. But now when I think about it, Microsoft has sort of changed that whole concept of, who they were. Because they used to be this dominant, whatever we do is right, and that's just the way things are. And it feels like they're just now more, willing to listen, to learn, to try and understand what people are trying to do. And you kind of even see that through their support networks as well, which is what I deal with on a regular basis. And Copilot. I don't know. Have you been using Copilot at all? The AI?
Yeah, a little bit of it. Yeah.
Yep.
The AI program.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's good. I've actually got to get my head around that space a lot more than what I do, sort of. But learning how to write prompts better and things like that to get the most out of it. Like sometimes I'll sort of get the answers that I want, but I'll end up writing 5 prompts there where I could have written 1 and got it right.
Yeah.
So there's becoming a bit more of an art form in terms of writing the prompts to get what you want out of it, I think, rather than getting the most out of AI.
Yeah. Well, it's a new term that's being sort of coined now, which is prompt engineering, which is what I've been sort of trying to do as well, which is, these really interesting ways of asking different questions. And so we've gone off on a tangent here for a second, but I had one of our accountants in our office come and ask me about AI because he wanted to do some stuff with it. I said, okay, well, what do you want to do? And he goes, well, I want to ask it about a particular ATO law here in Australia, and I want to know how many times it's been changed or reiterated over like the last 5 years, or when it was introduced, what changes have been made, and what, all that sort of background information about it. So, okay, well, you could ask that question, or you could sit there and go, okay, give me all the information about this. Now give me, provide it in a way that's a timeline of all the different events that have changed over this period, about this particular law, and also give me every other ATO law that it's had an ongoing effect, like a ripple effect through. So they've not only got the information you wanted, but then you've got this sort of, this cascading list of other changes that have been made because of this one particular change. And so it was really quite interesting. He goes, oh, wow, I get why people are talking about AI. Now, some of the information was a bit irrelevant for what he wanted, but then you can kind of distill it down a bit further. But man, AI is incredible. But Microsoft, I was watching his keynote on the 2025 just coming through. And it's just fantastic about what they're trying to do, how they're trying to change the organization with AI as their lens, I guess, and where they're moving. So it's been pretty interesting. So we've got some examples here. So the example here, I'm bad with consistency. Because that's the story you've reinforced for years. Now, the transition is I'm becoming someone who trains regularly. I think that's where I am now. Because incremental changes feel believable. But then the new identity is I'm an athlete who trains consistently. Because repeated wins make belief inevitable. And that's exactly it. Right. So I think mentally I'm in that transition period, which is I'm someone who trains regularly.
Yeah,
and I think I'm getting to the point where I feel confident saying, I'm an athlete who trains consistently, and it's really difficult because you always think of athletes as professionals.
Yeah,
guys, people get paid to do this kind of stuff. You're an athlete. You're not just some 52-year-old Australian turning up to the gym 3 times a week. I think there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah. I mean, so that brings us to like our Discord channel, as we've pointed out a number of times during the show and everything else. But there's a great, an exercise that people could do is to write down 3 write down 3 old identities that you think are holding you back, because you can't find what you don't name. I think, naming and shaming, or, naming and claiming might be a better one. And rewrite those as a transition identity. So start with those old ones, rewrite them again as a transition identity. And then because we're reframing those even slightly, that can change your next action for what you do.
Yeah.
And I think James Clear from the Atomic Habits, he made a good point in terms of every action you take is a vote for the type of person that you wish to become.
Oh, so that's good, isn't it?
That's good. So it's about making those changes, reframing that identity, and then each one of those things that you can slightly change, that's a vote for that sort of person that you're wanting to go.
Yeah, who you're becoming.
Yeah. So identities are built on evidence, not intention. You might have the best intentions in the world, but unless you do something about that, that's just nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And like I was saying to Steve, and he goes, I said, we're going out to Dandenong this week and we're just climbing. And so we've got that grand final coming up. We've got to go do it. He goes, because he's just gotten back from Thailand. he's had 8 days off on the beaches over in Thailand. And he's like, And then he messages me later on the week. He goes, can we make it 7:30? I said, no, 7 o'clock. That's when we've got to be there. That's when we're starting. Not 7:30, not 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. If I had my way, it would have been 6. But, 7 is still pretty good.
Yeah, 7's all right.
Yeah, 7's reasonable, And Carol Dweck in Mindset says, becoming is better than being. So progress is a journey, not a static title. And that's because if you set a goal, and this is in my mind, if I set a goal and go, okay, this is where I want to be, then you get to that point and you go, well, okay, what am I going to do now? I figure if I'm always looking to try and beat that particular goal I get to, the same as being in C, I want to be in B. So I can't get to there if I'm not willing to push myself out of my comfort zone and race in B grade, even though I get slaughtered and I come in 32nd out of 34 races. you can't get there if you're not willing to, push yourself past those points. And sure, I can win C grade races every day of the week, which I don't, by the way, but I could. But I'm not going to get into B because of it. You got to take that next step up. And of course, when I get into B, then I want to win in B, which is one of my goals for this year. And then I want to be able to then get into try and do A. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's the goal.
Yeah, but even like to be, just to have a broad goal as to be the fittest version of yourself you can be.
Yeah. Yep.
Because there is no endpoint to that.
Yep.
So every time you're trying to be that little bit fitter than you were before, and you're just continually trying to be the fittest version of yourself, that fittest and healthiest version of yourself that you can be.
Yeah,
and I think you aimed for that. That's your thing, and you just continually are striving to be those things. And because, like you say, otherwise you become goal based all the time. Like you would have to go be good at B, and then once you hit B, it's like, what do I do now? Yeah. And you have to go to, and that's but and
it's easy. It's
got to be open ended.
Yeah, you're right. It does, and you got to sort of have that, that overarching ultimate goal, that meta goal, which I think is what I guess we were saying is you got to have that, the goal of the goals, and that is, as you say, to be the best version of yourself you can be, and of course that means you're always going to increase those goals.
Yeah.
Now, Rich Roll, I've never heard of this guy before. I don't know Andrew, if you've heard of him.
No, I haven't, but he's got a cranking set of abs on him.
Doesn't he have a rig for him? Like, I would have had this on the screen here for people who are watching. But he is, so #1 best-selling author in 2012 with the publication of his inspirational memoir, Finding Ultra, Rejecting Middle Age. Oh man, what a ballsy thing to do. Becoming one of the world's fittest men and discovering myself. So on the eve of his 40th birthday, Roll had a wake-up call on the stairs. He didn't start with a punishing plan. He started with a new identity. I'm becoming the kind of person who trains every day and feels like an athlete. Now, that transition identity was crucial. It made earlier behaviors small and believable. Short sessions, plant-forward meals. Oh, I like that term, plant-forward meals. Big time. Yeah, I'm still trying to do that. Which stacked into proof. Now, months later, that identity shift was obvious to everyone else. I am an ultra-endurance athlete. The races and results came after the identity, not before. But man, some of the things he has done, and I don't have all the stats on screen, but I am going to bring them up as we're talking, is just incredible. And he's got a podcast and he does all these things. But he is a really fascinating person. So he's vegan. So for those of our vegan followers, there you go. Another example of someone who's absolutely smashing it in terms of that life choice. He is an ultra long endurance runner. Where is it? I'm just going to read through some of the things he has done here as soon as I find them. Hang on. 3-day marathon. So hang on. Okay. So time for a major life change. The day immediately followed his staircase epiphany. Rich overhauled his diet, became a dedicated vegan, put on his running shoes and jumped back into the pool. It wasn't long before ambition took hold and his quest to practice in the Ultraman slowly began. 2 years later, 50 pounds lighter, so that's about 20 kilos. And fueled by nothing but plants, he surprised the triathlon and ultra communities by not only becoming the first vegan to complete the 320-mile Uber endurance event. Jeez, it's 320-mile.
Why would you?
Can you do a quick calculation on what is that in kilometres, Andrew, while I'm talking here?
All right, you can go.
But by finishing in the top 10 males, third fastest American, with the second fastest swim split, all despite having never previously completed even a half Ironman distance triathlon. So in 2009, Rich returned to Ultraman twice, the athlete he was the year prior. Despite a stacked field, he took home first day honours with a blistering 2 hours 21 swim victory, sixth fastest of all time, and a third fastest bike leg to win the day with a 10-minute lead on the field. On day 2, Rich suffered a serious bike crash, but managed to salvage the day in 6th place overall with an injured knee and shoulder. Rich nonetheless went on to a 7 hours 51 day 3 double marathon to hold on to 6th place. Oh, I'm just tired reading all that out.
Yeah, and he hasn't even had a stake to keep him going.
So what's that in kilometres? How much is that?
That is 514 kilometres.
Wow.
Near enough to 515, actually.
Jeez, that's insane.
It is. Like,
yeah, that's incredible.
How to you? Like, if that's your thing and you want to run that far. Like, I've done a half marathon before, and I've probably done like 30 in a one hit, and that's a long time to run. And I was, I always had aspirations to do the marathon, and never actually quite got there. But to do 515 Ks, that is a monster in anybody's books.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
No matter how you look at it, that's a sensationally amazing thing to do. Like, the longest thing I've done on a bike is 300 kilometers, and that's on a bike. So to run and ride and swim that is just insane. And so I guess what I'm taking away from this is that whole identity shift, because I think he was a lawyer before he started all this.
Yeah.
And then turning 40, he just went, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to become this person. And that's what he's done, which is just so unbelievable.
It is a monster effort. I would imagine that, you're looking at that photo of him, and that's pretty much what you're seeing in the gym when you head down there, mate.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, I can't walk past a mirror without, oh, God, you could wash clothes on my stomach. No. I'm waiting for that to happen. I'm waiting. I keep looking in the mirror going, well, where is all this work going? But I'm sure it's there somewhere. I can't see it just yet.
Well, I always think that I'm a reasonable cyclist. I like to think I'm not too bad. And I actually was going up the Alp in Zwift the other day, up the Zwift, and thought I was doing okay. And a runner went past me. Like, so you can run in Zwift as well. And so as I got up this hill, this runner comes past me, and I was like, a little bit of me just died on the inside a bit.
How fast was the runner running, do you think?
I don't know. But it got me thinking, and what I told myself was that the inclines don't impact the runners as much as they do the cyclists.
that's what you told yourself. Yeah. He's not increasing his incline, is he? He's not increasing the angle of his treadmill. No, he's just running on the flat uphill. I'll tell you though, it reminded me. So the first time we did the Amy Gillett Grand Fondo back in 2018 or 2017, I remember, because you start off in age groups. So you specify which age group you're in, and each age group heads out at different intervals. And so I remember being in the 40 to 50 group, and we headed out. And then about halfway, I think, up the second climb, and I remember seeing some of the 50 to 60 guys start to come past, and I'm going, oh, okay. And then when I start to see some of the 60 to 70-year-old guys come past me as well, I went, oh, come on.
Yeah.
You're just poking fun now.
Yeah, there's nothing like that. I remember the same scenario first thing, and you saw either bigger guys or older guys, like you said, and I'll do all right. You look at the field and you think, I'll be all right. And then they go screaming past you, and you just think, what the hell?
What's happened here? And it really just destroys your mentality. It's like, oh, man, okay, fine, I'll just put my ego back in check.
Yeah.
Now, hey, we're going to get into segment 3. So we talked earlier about, identity. So we've discussed, well, I'm just going back in my notes here, why identity beats habits. And then we've gotten into upgrading your self-perception. And now we're going to have a quick chat about the aligning behavior with who you're becoming. Now, we're going to get into Jocko Willink here in a moment, but identity without action is just wishful thinking. This final segment is where we anchor your new identity with proof. Now, I'm going to do this through behavior. We'll explain why the brain trusts consistent evidence over big declarations and how you can use proof stacking to make your new identity undeniable, even to yourself.
Imagine a person who decides they're a runner, and instead of setting a marathon goal immediately, they run 1 mile a day, every day for 3 months. The consistency builds a mountain of proof. So when somebody asks if they're a runner, they don't hesitate. The identity is no longer aspirational. It's proven.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just turn up, get the job done.
Turn up and have a go.
This is that's one of Jocko Willnick's mantras as well. So for those who don't know Jocko, and I've only come to learn about him recently myself, he posts these daily 4:30 a.m. posts of his watch. And so if you do a search on Jocko Willnick, you'll see that. Now, when I dug into Jocko, his real name is John Gretton Willnick Jr. He is an American author, podcast, and he's a retired United States Navy officer who was a former member of and led SEAL Team 3. Now, SEAL Team 3, now I didn't know who SEAL Team 3 was, were nicknamed the Punishers, or are nicknamed the Punishers. They're a unit within the US Navy SEALs known for its combat operations, particularly during the Battle of Ramadi in 2006. This team has produced some of the most decorated and well-known SEALs, including, and you would have heard this one, Chris Kyle. Have you heard Chris Kyle from the movie American Sniper? Yeah. Michael Monsoor, Ryan Job, and Mark Lee. So Willnick has authored fiction and non-fiction books. His 2015 book, Extreme Ownership, has been on the New York Times bestseller list. Now, in 2015, he started his own weekly podcast on YouTube called The Jocko Podcast. I'll put a link to it in the description of this video or podcast to listen to. His YouTube channel currently sits at 1.8 million subscribers. So there you go. But he is an intense guy. Now, his famous 4:30 watch photos aren't motivational posters. They're receipts. I love that idea. He doesn't argue that he's disciplined. He proves it daily. That's proof stacking in public. The behavior, wake, train, work, continually reinforces the identity. I am a disciplined leader and athlete. Now, I'll post some pictures here as well, but the practical genius is that the signal is binary. Did it or didn't it work? And therefore hard to rationalize away. I'll say that again. The practical genius is that the signal is binary. Did it or didn't it? And therefore it's hard to rationalize away. So if you're doing it, if you're turning up, if you're getting the job done, if you're getting on the bike, you're getting into the pool, you're getting to the gym, that all stacks up. And I've got some photos here of his watches there, but 4:31, 4:33, 4:30. So this guy just turns up. So what you can do, for those that are listening to us, you can copy this mindset with a low drama habit. So you can try this. So get your kit laid out, a 30-minute zone 2 ride, swim, run, and then a single check mark on our Discord server just to go, yep, did this today. Will make all the difference. So identity doesn't lock in until your behavior confirms it. Belief without evidence is fragile, and it is. It's so true. That's why proof stacking works. Building small, repeatable wins, repetition convinces your brain more than one-time big efforts.
Yeah. As Angela Duckworth explains in her book, Grit is passion and perseverance for a very long-term goals.
Yeah, exactly.
Showing up repeatedly, even when it's boring, is how identities become reality. And I think that's that last line there, showing up repeatedly, making that commitment, even when, it's boring or you're going through that bit of a rut, but you've just got to keep pushing through that a little bit,
Yeah.
and that's how your identity will become a reality.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Sharon and I say the same thing. You know, even on the days that we're feeling tired, we don't want to go to the gym, we don't want to do the ride, you still turn up, you know, still get on the bike. And I've been being more consistent now, even especially after reading about Jocko, doing my 5:30 a.m. starts. So getting the kit done, I get it all laid out so I can wake up at 5:30 a.m., basically pick it all up, and then I sneak as quietly as I can downstairs without waking up Sharon, but I invariably do, and put the kit on downstairs and then jump on the bike, because I find that once I'm downstairs, then that transition to get on the bike and then do like an hour ride is so much easier. Like the resistance is broken down.
Oh, so, yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, so I didn't start by saying I'm disciplined. This is my story. You know, the brain rejects bold claims with no evidence. So instead of just saying, you know, I'm disciplined, I've been logging all of my rides in Strava since I first started on the bike back in 2000. I think my earliest ride is maybe 2013. So that's 12 years. Yeah. Of riding. So I logged each of the rides I did on Strava, because every check-in was proof that I was becoming disciplined, and, you know, and the performance improved, and it did, because it went from just doing my first ride, which was like, I think we rode from just outside the CBD along the beach down to St Kilda, which is like 10 kilometers, and then back. And that was like literally the first bike ride I'd done since I'd been in school, or since I got a license to get a car, you know.
Yeah.
And then since then, you know, we've done at the Amy Gillett Grand Fondo, which we're going to do again. I've done the Audax. I did the 12-hour endurance overnight ride. So these are incredible things. So not only was I no longer stopping on the climbs, which was a big thing because I lost a bunch of weight as well, but I was getting faster each time. So I remember beating my first mate, Steve. Now, my best mate, Steve, is a lot lighter than I am, and he had been doing more riding than I had when we kind of got together on this. And so up Devil's Elbow, which is where I was in Dandenong on the weekend in Mount Dandenong, it was the first time that it ever happened where I've beaten him. So up until then, Steve was the climbing goat. On a few climbs where we go up together, he still is, and he beat me on the weekend. So there's no question he's still got the go. But after getting out to the hills regularly and suffering up those climbs over and over again, I finally started believing that I could do this. And once I think you would have gotten this, Andrew, the first time you complete a climb, you think the climb's never going to end. But then you get to the end of it and you go, well, actually, that wasn't too bad.
Yep, for sure. And once you've done it, that climb, if you ever go back to revisiting that climb, you know you can do it. You've done it before, so you know you can do it. But you can approach it with a much better headset of knowing that you're going to get to the end of it because you've already done it. So you know you can do it.
You know you can do it.
It makes so much difference.
It is, isn't it? It's like I love doing the climbs I've done because I know exactly how long it's going to take. I know where the pain is. I know when the pain ends. And you just kind of grit and you bear down and you just get it done. And then before you know it, it's finished, you're over, you're getting a coffee, you're high-fiving yourself, mentally you're high-fiving yourself, and it's a good thing.
That's what it's all about.
All right. So, worksheet Q.
Well, this week we pick one behavior that proves your transition identity. So, micro-evidence stacks faster than big promises. Then share it in our Discord as you proof stack. Accountability doubles success rates.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So if people online can identify as a pineapple, you can identify as an athlete. And that's what I've chosen to do. And bonus, pineapples don't skip leg day. Well, no, I don't skip leg day. We've built leg day into all of our gym sessions. I don't know if that's exactly the right thing to do, but that's what we've done. But all right, Andrew, let's bring it home, buddy.
All right. And while you're at it, hit the like, the subscribe, and follow us on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, or don't. We're not your parents. But share this episode with someone who really needs to hear it because changing Identity doesn't just change workouts, it changes lives. You might be the reason they finally step up.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, guys, so here's the recap. So identity drives habits. Your brain protects consistency with self-image. Upgrading self-perception changes everything. Beliefs steer behavior more than motivation. And proof stacking locks it in. Repeated wins are undeniable evidence. So head over to our Discord channel, post your proof stack, and let's see the new identity you're building.
You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. Your identity is the floor beneath your every choice you make. So hopefully we see you in the next episode here on the Lycra Conspiracy.
Thanks, Andrew.
And thanks, Nathan.
Repeat that again, they'll crop it out.
You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. Your identity is the floor beneath every choice you'll make. See you in the next episode on the Lycra Conspiracy. I'm Andrew. Thanks, Nathan. I hope you see you next time.
Cheers, guys. Thanks very much.